Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Eastern Michigan Signing Day Show. I'm Tom Helmer alongside Greg Steiner. We are in the Carnival Museum here in Mobile, Alabama.
Yeah, we took a year away, but now we're back.
You've been here before.
I have. It's a great place. We cannot thank Judy Gulledge and everybody here who let us into this great museum.
Carnival started here in Mobile in the late 1700s. Actually, it was a little earlier, about 1702, and it transitioned. Then in about 1868, it became more of the modern day Mardi Gras that you know now. So that's about all the history I know about that. I know there'll be a parade Friday night, but the parade for Eastern Michigan started at 6 a.m. this morning as 29 new players have signed on. Largest class ever for Eastern Michigan.
6 a.m. Central Time, 7 a.m. Eastern. We don't want Nick
That's why I'm
Smith.
living in this. You're like my dad on vacation. You know what time it is back home?
We don't
We're
want
here.
compliance making sure you're signing too
Yeah,
early.
that's a good point. And we're going to talk to Nick Smith from compliance in the next segment because it's actually fascinating what goes into the process of getting a guy committed to Eastern Michigan.
And we bring in a guy that knows a little something about high school football, Rob Rubik on the WEMU side of things. Also, your Bally Sports guy with so much knowledge. He'll go and break down some tape too.
And we'll talk to Chris Creighton, who played a small role in today as well.
Yeah, he kind of is important. He's the guy handing out and says, you can come here. So a great day for him. I know he was fired up this morning. Any day he gets to shoot a confetti cannon, he's very happy about.
There was a lot of confetti on the floor as well. There should be a lot of great names on the list for Eastern Michigan. And I've said to people all throughout the week, I get a little nervous when a season ends because there's a lot of great players walking out the door. Lot to feel good about at Eastern Michigan.
There's a lot. You look at 29 of these guys, 13 of them will be enrolling at the mid-year break after classes resume in January. So that's an instantaneous help. And, of course, you still know their signing day to come back in February. So there's always more guys to come to this list, too.
Yeah, you got to sign them 3, 4, 5 times till they really feel like they're part of the program, right?
Exactly. Well, you got to keep them honest, right?
Sign again. Every month.
Keep going.
Sign again. Whatever it takes to be part of the Eastern Michigan nation.
Well, I got you signed up for this. I mean, how often
I'm
do you
all
get to
in.
stand in front of a float like this?
I like the mask, a pop of color. I never get to stand in front of a mask like this. I've never been to the type of parade that we're going to see on Friday night, so it's exciting for me.
I will say, bring your crash helmet. Last year, they said they'll throw moon pies out. I thought, okay, great, we're going to get some moon pies. They didn't warn me that they'll throw boxes of moon pies.
Oh, I was going to say, yeah. Fling it!
Have those moon pies, but they're great tasting. But I don't know what I want a box of them.
I was hoping to go home for Christmas at about $3 and it feels like it's going to work out here with the great barbecue and the moon pies down here in Mobile.
We've teased enough. We know you want to get to knowing who's actually coming to Eastern Michigan. So let's get to the list, and we start right at the top with JT Bronow, a running back who's the lone running back in this class, Tom.
Yeah, he's a freshman. He's out of Winter Garden, Florida. And I tell you what, the coaches have had a lot of success down in the South, and this is a guy that's going to make a big impact for Eastern Michigan. I also like Blake Buster, the offensive lineman. He's a transfer from Wayne State. I hope we're not playing a lot of day games because he will block out the sun. He is 6'7", 295, big frame.
And then you get even bigger, 6'9" in Doji Day, who hasn't played a lot of football in his career, but has an opportunity to really make an impact here on the gridiron.
Well, and of course, you're losing some great linebackers at Eastern Michigan. You got some great ones coming in. Marvel Eggleston, linebacker, 6'4", 205 freshman out of King High School in Detroit. And Terrell Elmore, linebacker, 6'4", 220 freshman. He's out of Indiana, so that'll help in the linebacking core.
Well, you also need a linebacker, and you go to the junior college route. Zion Fanua will be coming in. Big size at 250 pounds will help in that junior college role.
This coaching staff's had a lot of success in Georgia. That will continue with Antonio Floyd, wide receiver, 6'4", 175 pounds, freshman. Nice to have the big bodies.
And then you get to keep somebody close to home. A kid out of Chippewa Valley protecting the mitten. That's Rayshawn Hester staying here in the state.
Yeah, he's a great defensive back. You got Shaman Johnson, defensive lineman, 6'3", 245. He's a freshman. I talked about the Georgia kids. He's another one of them.
Brandon Locks will next be there, a tight end out of Bell Vernon, PA. We know Coach Blaney loves big size in the tight end, and this kid was a quarterback that they're going to convert over to tight end.
Dramarian McNulty, defensive back, 5'11", 185 pounds. It's a great secondary at Eastern Michigan. So when you add to that, only makes things better defensively for EMU.
Defensive backs, a role that we know we'd graduate a lot, but you still got a guy like Josh Scott coming back next year, and adding Jalen Munns will be to that core.
How about this? Luke Murphy was the first one to sign today. He was excited. Previously played at Kent State. Couldn't wait to put his name on the dotted line, and shortly after the signing period, his was the first to come through.
Not to be one up, Jonathan Odom right behind him, the transfer and former Florida Gator, whose dad played in the NFL. He's another big body that played in the SEC, can come here and do some damage.
Didn't just play in the SEC, was a 4-year starter at Florida, so a great lineage there. We'll talk about Noah Patterson. He's a defensive lineman, 6'3", 260, freshman. I don't know what they were feeding him, but I love it. You gotta love those big bodies.
Keep eating. And he has. Porter Rooks played a lot at the ACC for NC State, now former Wolfpack, now turned Eagle.
Dylan Shelton, defensive lineman, 6'1", 295. He's out of Illinois. He's a transfer from Indianapolis. He's going to be a strong body for him.
You missed a guy there, Tom. What about Orrin Singleton, a.k.a. Man?
One of the greatest nicknames in college football. Everybody needs a man, but only one team can get the man, and we got the man.
Yeah, he is coming. He already played in the MAC once before at Akron. He'll be lining up at the wideout role. Everett Small, then, an O-lineman. He's not small at 280 already as an incoming freshman.
More help in the defensive secondary in Wendell Smith, 6 foot, 165, freshman. He's out of Detroit. Big plus for EMU.
I have no idea where Fremont is, but we will take it. Andrew Steger coming in from there. He'll help add to that offensive line depth. And again, protecting the state of Michigan. This is an area where a few years ago, people were saying, can Chris Creighton get more people from the state? Well, they did so today.
And when you talk about the region, you got to build up the quarterback room. Welcome Jay Stuckey, quarterback out of Indiana. He brings a lot of talent and is going to help improve that quarterback room, and Eastern Michigan needs some improvement in that quarterback play.
And then you get Javon Thomas, D lineman out of East Lansing, a kid from just up the road, played a lot of games, been in the playoffs, can do some damage.
I've talked a couple times already about Georgia, the great state of Georgia. Jordan Toney, defensive back, he's a big body, 6'4", 175.
You go from Georgia to the land of love. That's Virginia, and they haul a kid, a DB, out of there, and that's Caleb Turner coming in from Virginia Beach.
They're the land of lovers?
Yeah, isn't that the motto for the state
Yeah,
of Virginia?
I think so. The land of I think so. Well, he'll be able to tell us.
Yeah, he'll tell us.
That's one of the reasons we signed him. We got to know what the motto is going down there. Caden Vanderbush, tight end, 6'5", 190, out of Plainfield, Indiana.
Oh, bring all those Hoosiers up. Another kid, they call him the Canadian Cannon. Just a year later than what he expected to arrive on the Ypsilanti campus, but Drew Viato will be on Eastern's roster and leading the way.
Rounding out the list, Dalen Wilkins. This is a guy I'll talk about with Rob Rubik. Big-bodied receivers. Eastern Michigan hasn't always had the big frame guys. They've had some speed. They've had guys that can play great at wide receiver, but this is a guy that fits the bill in all those categories.
Certainly do. A big signing class. Stick around. We got plenty more in store on this signing day showcase. As Tom mentioned, on the other side of the break, we'll have Nick Smith from Compliance telling you how it all happens, and then Rob Rubik, Chris Creighton, and maybe other some prizes in store. You're watching the Signing Day Show.
Prizes?
Only thing that's on my mind is who's gonna run this town tonight.
We are, yeah, I said it, we are. This is Rock Nation. Pledge your allegiance.
Who's gonna run this town tonight? Who's gonna run this town?
Welcome back to our Eastern Michigan Signing Day show. Joining us now, Nick Smith from Compliance. And this is where we find out where the sausage is made on a day like today. Because it's interesting, a lot of fans don't think about it, but there's a whole process when a player wants to commit. So things started for us here today at 6 a.m. What does the player need to send to Eastern Michigan to let them know, yeah, I'm committing to you, I want to play?
Yeah, Tom, there's the National Letter of Intent document, as well as the Athletic Financial Aid Agreement that is Eastern Michigan's. So today we get those official documents, upload them up, and then we're able to announce and tweet them out and let them know that, hey, this kid's coming to Eastern Michigan.
Because up until today, you see a lot of kids on social media and they're like, I'm committed to Eastern Michigan. Nothing's official until everything's signed, the correct birth date, and it's your job to make sure, all right, they filled out the form correctly. Because even when the form comes in, doesn't mean they're part of Eastern Michigan yet, right?
Exactly. Sometimes, we got to verify the dates, make sure the parent signatures are on there, making sure that they filled out everything correctly, and then uploading it, and the conference of each school verifies and says, yep, they're good to go, and then they're ready to become Eagles.
Plus, you work on the writing of the scholarship part of it too, right? So what's involved in that?
Yeah, so going back, some of these names today that have signed with Eastern Michigan, we've seen those names back all the way to the beginning of 2023. Starting the process of doing academic evaluations, making sure they're academically eligible, making sure they're eligible to get into Eastern Michigan University. And then once we do that, we're comfortable enough writing the scholarships to football. And it's definitely a team effort. It's not just Compliance, it's football, Jeff Collette and his staff, and Wilson, admissions at Eastern Michigan, our athletic academic advisors. So it's definitely a team effort of making sure these kids are ready to go and are eligible to receive a scholarship.
Nobody blows off a confetti cannon until you say it's
That's
okay.
right.
You got to give
That's
them the
right.
thumbs up, right? Then it
That's
goes
right.
out on social media.
That's right.
It's safe to say you're probably the most important person on signing day at Eastern Michigan.
I would not say that at all. Like I said, it's definitely a team effort.
But listen, if you don't get it right, it does cause problems down the line. So everything.
That's true.
I
That's
mean,
true.
you have to be very meticulous with your job, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely pay attention to details is part of the job in Compliance. And so, but no, it's a team effort of how this day goes off. But it's definitely exciting to be in the war room with the coaches, making sure that they're, FaceTiming the kids and letting them know, hey, yep, you're an Eagle, congrats. And it's a really cool experience. Obviously it's a long process on our end and academics and other people across campus at Eastern Michigan, but it's definitely worth it on signing day.
But
when
fun
our
also
next
for you, Nick, because this is one of the most important days in their lives, and you play a part in that. So that's got to feel good.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. It's that's why we do what we do is for the student athletes and coaches. So it's definitely a day that you mark on a calendar that you're excited about, and then this year especially being down here in Alabama for the bowl game, it's kind of a really cool celebration.
So now your work is done. You can get your costume together for the big parade on Friday night, right?
That's right. You're
gonna-
joining me, right? We're
Yeah,
picking
no.
one of these out?
In fact, I'm probably going to wear this. I think
Okay.
I want something with a little splash of color on it.
Okay.
Nick,
All
we
right.
appreciate your time. It is fascinating the work you do. So I have enjoyed talking to you about that. It's very cool. So, and we're very lucky to have a guy like Nick Smith at Eastern Michigan. Thank you very much. Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Tom. I appreciate
All right,
it.
appreciate it.
Go Eagles.
Coming up next, Rob Rubik will join me. We're going to talk about some of the players that he helped sign today. I said like you were out there on the trail, but that he helped get into Eastern Michigan. That'll be coming up next on the Eastern Michigan Signing Day Show. Welcome back to our signing day show. Christmas comes early. It's December 20th, but it's been Christmas for Eastern Michigan as 29 new players have signed on to be Eagles. Joining me, Rob Rubick. We're going to talk about a handful of these players right now. And let's start it off with Maddox Gonzalez, the 6'5" freshman lineman, weighs in at 315.
You know, we had a chance to watch his highlights. I also had a chance to call my brother-in-law, who's a principal at Standish Sterling, to get a little background on the young man, and he would just ranted and raved about his athleticism at 6'5", 315. We watched his highlights. He was tumbling people, just really outsized for that level he was playing in high school. So he's going to get challenged when he comes to Eastern Michigan because there's a lot of other grown men, but athletic feet, a little bit raw yet. They're going to work with him and turn him into hopefully one of the starting offensive linemen that they're going to need here as they lose a few this season.
One big get, Dalen Wilkins, wide receiver, big-bodied wide receiver out of Dayton, Ohio. And that's something Eastern Michigan hasn't had a lot of.
How many times, Tom, have we watched the game and said, why don't we have one of those 6'3" wideouts that you can throw the ball up in the end zone, run the fade route, he can moss someone, go up and get it? Well, now we have one. And hopefully Wilkins will come in here and do what they expect him to do. And that is be that inside the 20 red zone receiver that they can just toss the ball up and he can go and get it.
Now, if you want a guy that's going to catch the ball and make some moves, then you're talking about Warren Singleton.
Man?
Who transfers out of Hutchinson, Kansas Community College. This is a guy that's been described to me as a Jalen Jackson.
All right, I'll take
but
him.
a wide receiver.
I'll take him.
Right.
You call him Jalen Jackson, I'll take him right now. But he has that type of shake. Once he catches the ball, he is so dynamic, so hard to bring down. Chris Crate referred to him as uncoverable at times. So this is a great compliment to Wilkins, the big receiver. Now you bring in the little bit smaller receiver, a little inside, outside, big receiver, work the middle of the field, the next Tanner Canoe possibly.
Little 1-2 punch.
Yeah, that's what they need.
Exactly. Let's talk about Jonathan Odom. He's a tight end. He's a
There we go.
transfer from Florida. He's a big guy like
There we
this
go.
man.
You got to like the tights.
Transfer from Florida that has a great legacy.
He did. His father played in the NFL for about 3 years for Tampa Bay. So you're bringing Odom in here now, and it's a spot that we thought we were loaded at, Tom, but we lose Andres Pasco. He leaves. Jerry Getzinger now gone as well, I believe, correct? Jerry's used up his time here in Eastern Michigan. So you get hit in that position. But so bringing Odom, a young man out of Florida who got reps at Florida. He's not just a guy who was fifth on the depth chart. He's a young man who was part of Florida's plan. He comes here, really, really fills the need.
Eastern Michigan has a strong secondary. It's going to get stronger with a guy like Ray Hester.
I had a chance to cover a couple of Ray Hester's game when he was at Chip Valley playing for Scott Merchant. And he is a dynamic player. He is just a ball hawk. He will find it. Interception here, interception there. Physical in the run game comes up quickly. I'm not sure they'll use him at safety or corner or he'll end up at Eastern Michigan, but he's a player. And that's what you need. You need high school kids to come in here as freshmen, and you know right now you get a kid into the program that you're going to develop him, but he's got the tools that you think someday he's going to be one of your leaders on your defense.
Rob, this is why I like today, because you get set for a bowl game. You start thinking about all the players you're going to lose. Then this Eastern Michigan coaching staff backs it up with the largest class they've ever had, 29 new bodies, and you start thinking, I can't wait for next year.
Well, you know, Tom, you and I and Deb, my wife, we've been going around seeing Mobile, hanging out. These guys have been working since they got here.
Hard.
This is vacation.
Yeah.
Let's go bowling. We like
Yes.
it. They work.
All right, so great class. Excited to see these guys. Signing off from Mobile, Rob Rubick, I'm Tom Helmer. You're watching the Eastern Michigan Signing Day Show.
Your future is a world of opportunity, an anything is possible world. At Eastern Michigan University, a global classroom experience awaits you. People from every corner of the globe collaborating, creating tomorrow together. A campus rich with people from unique backgrounds and perspectives. Classrooms that mirror today's global workplace. It's a brave new world. Are you ready? Be true. EMU.
Welcome back to the Eastern Michigan Signing Day Show. Joining me now, the head coach, Chris Creighton. I know Christmas isn't until the 25th, but it feels a little bit like it today, doesn't it?
It absolutely does, yeah. Lots of great gifts today.
And you didn't just go out and get players. You got quality players, and 29 of them. That is a huge signing class.
It is. I think it's probably the largest in history just because of, the cap of 25 no longer exists. We went one at a time and have been working on these guys, most of them for a long time, and we're sure glad that they're here.
All right, let's talk about a few of them. You went out in the quarterback room. You got Drew Viotto, the quarterback transfer from Minnesota, and Jay Stuckey, the freshman from Indiana.
We did. You know, excited about both those guys. Just starting with Jace. He's from the great state of Indiana and had a great career and a phenomenal season this year, and was able to be with him. He came on his official visit after his junior year, and so was here. We're not here, but we recruited him all the way through his senior year. And great human being, super smart, loves football. He's already watched 5 full games of ours from 2022 off of YouTube and wrote out each individual play for 5 games and then put them in his own language, his high school language, so that he could learn. I mean, it's just phenomenal stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, wow is right. And then Drew, it actually started with Drew even before Jace.
Right.
Recruited him to be a freshman this year, ended up signing with Minnesota. And man, on December 4th, when the transfer portal, you know, opened, heard that he'd be interested in not coming back to Eastern Michigan, but but in some ways coming back. He'd visited a ton, you know, before he made the decision to go to Minnesota, and was just really comfortable, and we're real excited about him.
On that list, you went out and got a running back, JT Bronow. Tell us about him.
Yeah, so I mean, we're not far from Florida right here, right now.
Right.
And he's from the great state of Florida, the Orlando area. You know, running back is the one high school spot that we did not really wrap up in the summer. And so we really could take our time and of all the guys who didn't sign in the summer, to be able to see how running back was shaking out. And Coach Reed did a great job of identifying him and following him through from the summer all the way through his senior year. And when we met him, we knew he was our kind of guy, and really excited about what he brings to the table.
Let's go to the defensive side of the ball, linebackers. First, you get a couple transfers, Zion Fanua, and then you got Luke Murphy from Kent State.
Yeah, so, you know, we've got some history with Kent State. You know, Coach Needham was the defensive coordinator there for 5 years with Coach Haynes, and then Coach Alexander was a player and then a coach at Kent State. And obviously, you know, Coach Needham didn't cross over with Luke at all, but, you know, he was a really good player for them. And, you know, sometimes coaching changes can be tough.
Yeah.
For whatever kinds of reasons. And so he had decided to look for a new home, and got to know him, and really think he's going to be able to fill in really nicely for, you know, 5 graduating linebackers.
And then you go and get a couple freshman linebackers too, Marvell Eggleston, Terrell Elmore too. They're both very talented guys.
Yeah, sure. And I didn't speak about Zion. So Zion is another from junior college down from Texas, Tyler Junior College. And gosh, we were super impressed with his ability to play the game, right? It always starts with that. And then when he and his family came up for the official visit, I mean, we weren't even done with the introductions. I mean, it's like we're an hour into the deal, and we're, you know, Coach Needham and I are looking at each other going like this, like you know what I mean? He's our kind of guy. We want him, and just really, really excited about him. He's a Mike. He's physical. And again, we need to replace 5 guys who are graduating. So, and then the freshmen, we think that they have really high ceilings. You know, Marvell from Martin Luther King Jr. High School here in Detroit. He is super long and plays linebacker and can play lots of different places, but we want him at linebacker, and is made of all the right stuff, and can't wait for him to get here. And then Terrell is from the great state of Indiana, went through the whole process this summer, and actually played some defensive end for them, and can really rush the passer, and we think is going to convert to linebacker really, really nicely.
You've already got a great defensive secondary, but you added 7 more defensive backs. That's a talented core back there.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt. And, you know, and really largely with freshmen, but Dramarian McNulty from Mississippi Gulf Coast is going to be definitely helping us in the safety room. Excited about what he brings to the table for sure. But then, you know, our freshman class in the secondary is super talented, and again, just made of the right stuff.
Right.
And so, you know, Cade Dobbs is actually going to be here in January. And so really, really excited about him. And then the rest of those guys will be here in June.
That's the thing too, you've got 13 players coming in for the spring semester. That's a tremendous jump as you're getting ready for 2024.
It's not January 8th yet. So June 13, that number is going to grow.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
That number's going to grow.
That's fantastic. Want to wrap things up? Let's talk about the tight ends. Brandon Locks. You got some big bodies in there too. Caden Vanderbush. And we've talked a little bit in the show about Jonathan Odom. But what a great core of tight ends you got in this class.
Yeah, so we're excited about it. You know, Jonathan has the 1 year and obviously has spent his career at Florida and done really well starting for them and has overcome injuries. And I think he just is looking for something different. And I think that we're very different. You know, I mean, not good, bad. It's just going to be really different. But he's got a maturity about him. He knows what he wants, and we know who we are, and so we can articulate that. And so it was, for never having met him before, the official visit, it just felt right both ways, and really, really excited about him. And then our incoming guys, Caden Vanderbush is really athletic, going to play him at the H. And then Brandon Locks, and I've done this throughout my career, he's a starting quarterback for a state championship team. But his build, his makeup, his leadership, his physicality, his football smarts, and the way he can run and all that, we just think it's going to translate really, really well, you know, into one of those tight end positions. So, you know, got to wait and see how that works out. But we know he's a winner, and we always want winners.
Chris, I've said this throughout the show. On December 19th, I'm always thinking, man, we're losing some great players. Graduation, they move on. And then today I'm like, so pumped about this class. Like, you guys, what you got after it with this class. It is a very talented Eastern Michigan class.
You find out, right, not today. You find out in the fall and then 3 years from now. And you know, you mentioned the guys that are preparing for their last game right now. You know, we will 100%, you know, miss this class. I mean, who they are and what they've brung, and we are all amped up to play great football on Saturday to finish this thing out on a really high note. But recruiting never stops, right?
No, right.
And I'll tell you, one of the things about the outgoing class is the number of those guys who are still hosting and helping recruit. You know, most of the time, you know, seniors, they're just, you know what I mean? It's not what I'm not going to play with those guys. And just, you know, in our program, it's never been that way. And, you know, it's just, I don't know, just proud of them.
Chris, great class. Appreciate your time. Chris Creighton, head coach of the Eagles. When we come back, Greg and I will wrap things up here on the Eastern Michigan Signing Day Show. All right, so hopefully you've learned what Eastern Michigan is bringing to the table here on Signing Day. It's a phenomenal class, and we're having a great week down here in Mobile. It's fun going to bowl game after bowl game.
I thought we were joining a secret society. Isn't that how we get into this whole carnival
Society
museum?
of Greg and Tom, where we look like just Run DMC, but the guys they kicked out of the group back in the 90s.
I've got my beads. The guys earlier got their scholarships. So it's been a great day for everybody. He's had his breakfast. You've had your lunch. We're ready for some moon pies, and it's been a great time here. Again, thanks to everybody who here at the museum that let us have a little fun here on this
we've had a
Wednesday
great time.
afternoon.
Great day for Eastern Michigan.
Great day. Chris Creighton and company signed. Don't forget, big game coming up on Saturday. You can listen to it on WEMU as well as we'll be nationwide on Sirius XM Channel 84.